It's the chain rule. What's the chain rule? This is for taking a derivative of a composition of functions. That's when we use the chain rule.
Hey, Mr. D, I forgot what composition is.
Well, that's when you put two functions together. So, a composition. I'm going to do it all symbolically first. If I said capital F of x is going to be defined as, let's say, f of x. No, sorry, f of g of x. And then I want to find f prime of x. What is that? The chain rule. There's a way to remember it. I think you should remember the words. Maybe say it out loud a bunch of times, just because if you start to say it out loud, you don't have to remember any of the symbols, and it becomes really, really clear what you have to do. So, the chain rule, I'm going to say is, well, I'll write it down first. So this is something you should say over and over and over again in your head to get this memorized. The chain rule says that if you want to take the derivative of a composition of functions, you take the derivative of the outside function, the derivative of the outside with the inside the same, and then multiply it, so times the derivative of the inside. So, if I want to find f prime of x, capital F prime, sorry, then that means I'm going to take the derivative of the outside with the inside the same, so f prime, the inside stays the same, times the derivative of the inside. Well, that's just times g prime. And there we go. That's the chain rule. The hardest part about this is recognizing which is the inside function and which is the outside function. But that's okay, because we're going to look at examples, huh? Alright. Yeah, let's look at examples. I don't recommend memorizing that. I really hope that you can remember this. Say it a bunch of times. The chain rule is the derivative of the outside with the inside the same times the derivative of the inside. So, here we go. Let's write an example. So if I say that f of x is the natural log of x squared, and I want to find f prime of x, here's what I have to recognize. First, what is the outside function? Well, there is such thing as a square function, right? X squared, that's a function. So the outside function in this case is, I mean, you can think of it as the square function. It's not really x squared, but I'm going to say x squared just because it's kind of weird just to write parentheses squared. And the inside function, of course, is the ugly natural log of x. There, that's a better one. So, how do I do this? Well, I take the derivative of the outside. How do I take the derivative of x squared?
M to D, use the power rule.
So I'll use the power rule. So f prime of x will be the derivative of the outside with the inside the same. That means I'm going to take the 2, bring it out front. The inside, well, that stays as the natural log of x. And then I go 2 minus 1. Alright, well, that's just 1. Times the derivative of the inside. What's the derivative of the natural log of x? That's just 1 over x. So to simplify, I have 2 ln of x over x. So that's f prime. That's easy, right? That's easy. Let's move on. Alright, let's look at these. F of x, capital F of x, equals g of f of x. Use the table to find f prime of 1. Well, look at that. F prime. With capital F prime, sorry. Well, that's just we gotta use chain rule. So, first I'm gonna figure out, I'm gonna do that in a different color. F prime of x. I gotta figure out what that is. That's using the chain rule. So, what's the chain rule say? It says the derivative of the outside with the inside the same. So, g prime of, the inside is the same, f of x, times the derivative of the inside, times f prime. Okay, that's all fine and dandy. Now you gotta substitute 1, right? Just put a 1 in there. Put a 1. Put a 1. Put a 1. So, let's see here. if we have f prime of 1, that means we need to figure out what f of 1 is and what f prime of 1 is. So let's do that. I'm going to do this in green. What's f of 1? F of 1 is 3. Okay, so this is 3. And then what's f prime of 1? F prime of 1 is 5. So that's 5. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So this is g prime of 3 times 5. That's pretty nice. Oh, what's g prime of 3? It's like a little, like following the breadcrumbs. Hansel and Gretel. Okay. G prime of 3. 3 g prime. That's negative 2. All right, that's pretty easy. So that's negative 2, and then times that 5. That'll give you negative 10. So f prime of 1 equals negative 10. That's super simple. Just knowing what the chain rule is. Maybe one more example. I forgot to crop this one, but it's a kind of killing me problem. So let's look at this. If capital F of x equals the natural log of g of x, those are our two functions. We have the outside being the natural log, the inside being the g of x. Where the graph of g and its tangent line, at x equals 4 are shown. What is the value of f prime of 4? First, before I do anything else, I'm going to figure out what f prime of x is. So that's my first step. What is f prime of x? And, well, I have to use the chain rule. The derivative of the outside with the inside the same. What's the derivative of the natural log of x? 1 over x. But we don't have the natural log of x. We have the natural log of g of x. So, the derivative of the outside with the inside the same is 1 over g of x. Normally, we'd have an x there, but we have a g of x. So that's 1 over g of x times the derivative of the inside. So times g prime of x. So that simplifies to g prime of x over g of x. And I want to plug in a 4. Plug in a 4. So I will do that. G prime of 4. So this is, maybe I'm not going to write over there. I got to figure out, so f prime of 4. That means I'm plugging in g prime, I'm plugging in 4 to g prime and 4 to g. 4g. So I have, well, what does this mean? From the last test, hopefully we know that it means the slope of g when x equals 4. But they conveniently drew that for us. They drew the tangent line. So we just got to find the slope of that tangent line. And that's by counting, right? Well, from here all the way down to here is 5. So 5 over 2, and it's negative. So I got this. Well, I'm going to do it in green. So this would be negative 5 over 2 divided by, what is g of 4? Well, g of 4, that's using the blue function. And g of 4, that's just a y value when x is 4. So that's divided by 5. This is like 5 over 1. So I will flip the second fraction and multiply. I got negative 5 over 2, keep that one, times 1 over 5. Ooh, look at that. And I get negative 1/2, it looks like. Negative 1 over 2. And, yeah, that would be my answer. I didn't copy down the rest of them. But that's how you do that one. Alright, made the video way too long. Good luck copying that down. Goodbye.